with T-Bar hinting at a character change and 2 WWE stars out of action. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for October 3rd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. AEW commentator Jim Ross went on his podcast to mention him calling Grand Slam and how he paused when saying Malachi Black's name. He then called out those on Twitter that were giving him a hard time. I did overreact. I think it's because I care too much sometimes. I really do. If I'm going to be called down by some geek on Twitter, have at it, folks. Think about everything. Think about the big picture. Think about my motivation for saying that was one of the most special nights in my career. It's just a pleasure to be there, and I'm getting better. I hope working with these 2 announcers I had never worked with before. You've got 3 play-by-play guys at one table and somebody's got to lead. It's inevitable. It's what you do. So all I can do is work my butt off and try to improve my game. I'll never stop trying to improve my game, but you're exactly right. I think I do care a little more than I need to. That's a good catch because I caught it too. I stopped mid-sentence just because you hear the barbarians at the gate. While he's done commentary in the past and is doing so from time to time in AEW, CM Punk said on the Unrestricted podcast that he doesn't want to take anyone's jobs. We had an idea of me doing commentary in one of Darby's matches and we did that, but I was legit backstage going, I want to do the whole show. I'm not trying to take nobody's job, I just think it's a cool way to get CM Punk on the show without doing the same things over and over. It's just a different look. Obviously, selfishly, I was like, I want to work with Tony and JR and Excalibur, and I got to have a lot of fun, and we got to do a cool little angle out of it, made it look different. I think maybe Darby put somebody through the announce table. That was a while ago, so we got to do something a little bit different. Doing commentary with those guys is a blast. Talking about the importance of homegrown talent in AEW such as MJF and Ricky Starks, Cody Rhodes told Monsters and Critics Reality, well, that's technically my #1 job at AEW as the Executive VP of Talent. That's the most important thing. I already know that Bryan Danielson is famous, I already know that CM Punk is amazing in the ring, that Kenny Omega can have a 5-star match. I know that. It's our job to show you who in 5 years or 3 years will be leading the charge. And if you just look at some of the homegrown types with Ricky Starks and MJF and Private Party and Lee Johnson, I mean, I could go on and on. It's vastly important. With Ricky Starks in a feud with Brian Cage and as the FTW champion, he has his eyes set on a match against CM Punk. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, he was asked on ESPN who he would choose as an opponent between Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, and Adam Cole, with him responding, Adam Cole. It's an easy question for me to answer in terms of I feel Adam Cole is very well known by the hardcore wrestling audience and, of course, fans of the Elite and Bully Club and that entire portion of this revolution. But I also think that casual fans or lapsed fans or just new fans have only just seen the tip of the iceberg of what he's capable of. Many in pro wrestling feel that WWE has a problem with relying on older talent and part-timers due to the company's inability to create new stars. Speaking to Inside the Ropes, former WWE champion Jinder Mahal challenged that claim and gave a few examples. Yeah, they absolutely do. That's what we're in the business of, right? Just being a fan of myself. So I grew up first, the Hulk Hogan era. Then the new stars came Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Mankind, right? And the new stars came the next generation, Rock, Stone Cold, and then the next generation after that, Randy Orton and John Cena, Batista, right? And then the next generation after that, I guess, is possibly my generation, right? Me, Drew McIntyre, Big E, Bobby Lashley, Kofi Kingston, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. So actually, I started with WWE in 2010, and all those champions that I've listed are first-time champions, and there's more that I've missed. So in the last 10 years, we have had several champions, and if you look back in the 70-year history, I believe we're at number 53. 10 have happened in the 10 years. I think that speaks for itself, that we are creating new stars. If you look at the stats and you see who's champion and what year, who's the first-time champion, there's lots of them. So I think people just need to sit back and enjoy the product. Let the storylines unfold. With the most recent additions to the main roster from NXT following the first night of this year's draft, WWE has the opportunity to create even more stars. Yet it remains to be seen if that happens. given his incredible in-ring acumen, it's a surprise that Chad Gable has not been given the chance to break out on the WWE main roster. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed Gable being used on TV, saying many consider him to be misused, while adding that his friends want him to leave the promotion for AEW. A lot of his friends want him to go to AEW, you know? And I don't know what the contract situation is for him, but he's been so misused or buried or whatever that it's almost like you bring him in, and I think he would be phenomenal in AEW. He's phenomenal now. Fightful reported in July that there is likely a good deal of time left on Gable's contract. Still, that report mentioned that several in AEW would push management to sign him if the opportunity arose. After Big E won the WWE title, he was able to appear on Raw, with him reuniting with his New Day brethren. Still, night 1 of the draft on SmackDown saw Big E officially become a Raw roster member, while Woods and Kingston were moved to the Blue brand. This was discussed on Wrestling Observer Radio. With it said, I thought by moving Big E to Raw, you'd keep the group together. So obviously by moving the group, it tells me that they really don't want Big E with those other two guys, with the idea that it will hold him back. And I completely disagree with that. I think he brings the other two guys up. Big E has spoken about becoming more serious in his demeanor now that he is away from the New Day, so maybe that was WWE's train of thought when deciding where to draft talent. Nia Jax was on the receiving end of a stomp to her elbow from Shayna Baszler. The latest victim of Baszler, Eva Marie, could be seen backstage at SmackDown with her arm in a sling, as Jax was nowhere to be found. According to PW Insider, Jax was not backstage at SmackDown, and the word making the rounds is she may be taking an extended period of time off, so her attack by Baszler was to write her off TV for the time being. With his recent drafting to Raw along with his son Dominic, Rey Mysterio has been noticeably absent from in-ring competition. Fightful noted that he is not cleared. As of Friday night, Rey Mysterio was sidelined for an undisclosed medical reason and would no longer be able to perform at the Saturday Night Live event where he was scheduled to face Roman Reigns. While there is no report as to how long he'll be out, we hope Rey is able to make his return to action soon. Matt Riddle and Randy Orton have formed an unlikely tandem, RK Bro, which has resulted in them holding the Raw Tag Team titles. Speaking on After the Bell, Riddle mentioned that Orton has taught him a lot, saying, Randy, over the time we've been working together, he's taught me so much. The way he moves in the ring. I think for me, being from the indies, you have a faster work rate. You're trying to get everything in. You're only given a certain amount of time. You're trying to do everything you can do instead of making the most of what you're doing. Working with Randy, I feel like instead of killing myself, which I still do, but I think I'm getting the most out of doing what I do now. That's the biggest thing I've learned from Randy. Despite taking an RKO from the Viper previously, the two are still together as a team, but given Orton's history, it seems like it's only a matter of time before they break up. One half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Rhea Ripley, spoke to TV Insider about her tag team with Nikki ASH, as Rhea revealed that she wasn't sure how they'd click. At first I was a little standoffish, but she is growing on me. She is such a good person, warm-hearted and positive. Sometimes you just need someone like that behind you, especially when you're someone like me who just goes out there and brutalizes people. Sometimes I need to calm down a little bit, so I'm glad to have Nikki by my side. To be honest, I'm having the time of my life right now in this tag team. It's a lot of fun. I do miss singles competition and do love it, but there are always times for a change. Right now, I think the fact that we won the Women's Tag Team Championship is truly incredible, and to do it with someone like Nikki, and was in NXT when I first started, I really looked up to her. To hold these titles with her is truly extraordinary. After being split from his partner Mace during the draft, T-Bar has taken to Twitter to hint at a character change. His name on the site is now TDB, or To Be Determined, with his profile picture being one of his actual face. He sent out this tweet, "Guess I'm all alone. Time to feast your eyes." Maybe T-Bar will go back to being Dominik Dijakovic, as we'll have to see what is planned for him down the road on Raw. While he's had an incredible run and beat top talent, one victory that eludes Drew McIntyre is one over Roman Reigns. On Talking Smack, McIntyre mentioned getting drafted to the Blue Brand, saying defeating Roman Reigns would be the biggest moment of his career. It would mean a lot to me. You know what's interesting? Roman and I have quite the history since I've returned to WWE, and perhaps the roles are a little bit reversed. I've been watching what Roman's been doing over this past year, and I might not like how he does things a lot of the time, but he is operating at a different level. He always talks about these levels, and right now he is at the absolute top. To be honest, not just the top of SmackDown, but the top of this industry. I want Roman. I want that match. I tangled with him last year. He needed a bit of help to get that victory, but I know I can take him down. As much as winning those 2 WWE championships meant to me, where Roman's at right now, taking him down, taking that Universal Championship, would be the biggest moment of Drew McIntyre's career. Fans have come up with a theory about Kevin Owens feeling unhappy in WWE, with one fan saying Kevin Owens looks more miserable each time we see him, with a fan responding, "When you create a narrative, you'll see it everywhere you look." Owens apparently liked that tweet, as we'll have to see if he ends up re-signing with the company or makes the jump to AEW. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.